Yo, what's good? What's good, people? It's your boy Kelvin behind the bench. Big salute to everyone out there. Hope y'all doing well. Shout out to Shy, JB, Jermaine. Check out their videos. See if you like it. Like, subscribe, and share as we continue to try to grow. All right. I just want to do a quick video on my personal top five greatest Lakers. I know it's been a lot of lists been put out through the years and here recently, with Stephen A. Smith and stuff like that on TV, and that's their opinion. So I'm just gonna give my personal opinion of my top five Lakers. So I think of the top five Lakers. It's been a lot of great players in their franchise history, but this is what I believe are the top five guys. All right, number five, I'm gonna start out with Elgin Baylor. Elgin Baylor was a great player. He was drafted in the late 50s, number one pick in the 58 draft. At that time, the Lakers were actually in Minneapolis, and the franchise was doing pretty bad after, the early dynasty days with George Mikan. The franchise was in a lot of financial trouble, and the draft pick of Elgin Baylor and his showmanship and his excellence, it drew some fans to the games, and it kept the team afloat, just enough to make some money to keep the team afloat until they were able to move to Los Angeles. So Elgin Baylor is one of the most important guys. He actually saved the franchise. If they didn't draft him and he didn't perform well and be the showman that he was, the great player that he was, the franchise would have folded. It was very, very close to folding. Now, if you want to know, something about the Lakers in their early days, it's a gentleman on YouTube named Uncle Hayes. He just recently put out a video about the history of the Lakers in their early days. And on this video, he talked about George Mikan and Elgin Baylor and stuff like that in the early days. And I just want to give a shout out to him. He doesn't give enough credit, Elgin Baylor doesn't, for, saving the franchise. Because without him, the franchise would have been folded. And during this video that Uncle Hayes put out, there was a game they were flying to, and from Minneapolis to somewhere, it was a couple hours away, and the plane started having trouble because it was real cold, and the plane almost crashed. And luckily, they were able to land in some cornfield, I think in Iowa or something like that, and they survived. But, it was a very touching story that, we don't appreciate the things that these guys went through in the early days so that the players now can benefit off what they did. So I believe Elgin Baylor, great player, very important in the Lakers' history, doesn't get talked about enough. He saved the franchise, great player, 10 times All-NBA, 11-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year his first year, top 75. So Elgin Baylor, salute to him. Rest in peace. He was a great Laker. Number four, I'm going with Jerry West, Mr. Clutch. So, he was a great player. A great clutch player. He was part of, him and Elgin Baylor. There was a great duo. They went to a lot of finals, but they were defeated a lot. But, they lost to the Dynasty Celtics with, Bill Russell and them. But nonetheless, they did eventually win a title in 72. Part of that great team that won 33 in a row. Great player, great clutch player, great defensive player. I have him, again, number four. And also, we need to speak also about after he retired, his work he did as an executive. And actually, after he retired, he coached a little bit. Then he went to the front office to be an executive. And as an executive, of course, we know he was the orchestrator of Showtime in the 80s. He made the draft picks and assembled that great team of the 80s. And also, he was a key figure in bringing Shaq in free agency in 1995, 96. And also, he was the one who had the foresight to go draft Kobe Bryant. When Kobe was a teenager, a kid coming out of high school, he the one pulled off the trade. So Jerry West is also one of the great executives of all time. So he's a very, very important person in Lakers history. So I have him at number 4. Number 3, I have Irvin Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard. I know some people might have him at 1 or 2. I have him at 3. Uh, we know his resume: 3 MVPs, 3-time Finals MVPs. Even though he should not have won in 1980, but he was a great floor leader. The leader of the Showtime, the fast break. He was great at facilitating. Probably the greatest passer. Definitely, easily the greatest point guard. Him and Larry Bird did a lot. They brought a lot of life and energy to the league when it was at a down point in the 80s. So, you have to give him credit for that. But I feel like he's the number 3. So that's why I put him on my list as the greatest Laker, number 3. Number 2, I have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem is criminally underrated. He was a great player, won MVPs in the 70s. I'm going to make a video about that. People don't talk about enough of what he did in the 70s. Even though they didn't win, he was still dominant. And he was a great player. Then, of course, in the 80s, he won the championships in the 80s along with, Magic and Worthy and stuff like that. And for a long time, he was the all-time leading scorer until recently. So now he's number 2. Great player. Anytime the team needed a clutch bucket to stop a run, or late in the game they needed a big bucket, they always went to Kareem. It wasn't Magic. It wasn't Worthy. And there's no disrespect to those guys, but he was the captain. He was a leader on the team also. He was just a different type of leader. And I just feel like he's highly disrespected. In my opinion, going back and watching some of them early 80s Lakers teams, he was still the best player on the team, even though he was a little older. And I know Magic came, and everyone loves Magic and the smile and what he did for the league as far as marketing. But when it came down to the team in the early 80s, the first half of the 80s, he was still the best player on the team. I know his rebounding numbers had dipped a little bit, because they had a lot of talent that came in. But Kareem was still the best player to me up until about 85, 86. And then Magic took over. He could have had a couple more finals MVPs, but we know what happened with Magic in 84 and stuff like that. But to me, Kareem is number 2. Just me. That's on my list. And number 1, no other than Kobe Bean Bryant. To me, he's the greatest Laker. 20 years, highly disrespected. You're not going to get disrespected with us, bruh. You're going to get the credit for the work that you did for the team. A legend, an icon. I know he's an icon all across the world, but specifically in L.A., of course, we know his resume, the 5 titles. He won 3 with Shaq. He don't get enough credit. The most important game I'm going to talk about real quick was when Kobe played with Shaq. And people need to go back and watch this game. They know this game just for the alley-oop to Shaq, but the most important game in the Kobe-Shaq dynasty was the year 2000, Game 7. In that game, Kobe was the best player on the floor on both sides of the court. And if you watch him, the way he played defense, even at that young of an age, it was a masterpiece. And this is one of the great games that does not get talked about enough as far as Kobe being the best player. Shaq didn't have it really going that day like that. And Kobe had to take over the team at a young age. And they was down, we know the story. They was down double digits in the fourth quarter. And Kobe was the one that spearheaded the rally that brought them back. And it's a very, very important game in Lakers history. Everybody know about the alley-oop to Shaq and all that. But Kobe was the best player on the team. And he saved that dynasty. Because up until that point, they got swept. And they were talking about breaking the team up. But, Kobe being great that game, he saved that dynasty, And then, of course, he won 2 more with Shaq. A lot of times in the Western Conference, he was the best player, even with Shaq. hit the clutch free throws, the clutch shots late in the games. All this stupid crap about Shaq carrying them, that's some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And then later on, a few years later, he won 2 more with Pau Gasol. Kobe was the best player on the team, no debate. 2 Finals MVPs. He was a great, great, great player, great leader. He doesn't get enough credit for his leadership and what he did. He went through the down years. He didn't run. Kobe was a hard worker. I don't know if him and Michael Jordan might have been the hardest workers. And yeah, man, Kobe is easily, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. To me, Kobe is easily the greatest Laker of all time. And it's not even a debate with me. Y'all can have y'all opinion, but for me, Kobe is the greatest Laker. So anyway, just want to make a quick video. That's my top 5, Some honorable mentions, Shaq. Shaq was a great Laker. I wouldn't put him in my top 5. James Worthy, Michael Cooper, Byron Scott, Derek Fisher, Norm Nixon. The list goes on and on. George Mikan also doesn't get enough credit. He was a great Laker in the early days, the first dynasty in the NBA when he's in Minneapolis. Shout out to him. There's a lot of great Lakers, but for me, this is my personal top 5 greatest Lakers. And that's that. Well, that's my time. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Y'all be good. I'm out.